Divorce lawyers of Reddit, what are some of your most memorable cases? Had a client whose soon-to-be ex-husband used her email address and phone number to sign her up for every bank, loan, religious mental illness, and pornographic site he could think of. She was bombarded by people contacting her about her interest in their products/services. He even put out ads for 6 partners on Craigslist with her information. The kicker is that she actually went out with a guy who contacted her. If I learned anything being a divorce attorney I no longer practice, it was that if the opposing party sounded like a nutcase, I would soon see the nutcase come out of my own client. Normal people don't just accidentally marry crazies, not often. Worked as courtroom clerk/front desk when I was in college. A couple argued on the custody details on their son. I thought it was the normal "I won't let you see him, you piece of shit," but the mom wants the dad to spend more time during holidays together, all 3 of them, and the dad wants to do the same, just more frequently. They ended up reconciled and agreed to couples therapy before the divorce procedure went further. Then they came back a month later to withdraw the divorce proceeding. Case 1. Honduran couple came in for divorce consult. I informed them I could only represent and advise one of them, and wife called first, so I'm representing her. He furiously storms out. 2 days later, he hides in the bushes outside the house where she is staying. When she leaves to go to work, he jumps out and decapitates her with a machete. 2 small kids in the house. Terrible shit. Case 2. On the day of a divorce trial involving adultery grounds, opposing counsel produces photos of my male client, the husband, wearing lingerie and long brown wig, blowing another dude. I successfully exclude this from evidence on the grounds of relevance, because the wife was the photographer. Case 1. Takes head. Case 2. Gives head. The universe loves balance. Glad it wasn't the same head. Had a husband and wife go toe to toe over an ashtray they got in Vegas. At some point neither smoked, strangely enough. Spent nearly $5,000 for me and another attorney to duke it out in court over the silly thing. Prior to proceeding, I explained what the cost would be to argue over something silly like this, and that he could give me $2,500 and I would fly to Vegas for the weekend and get him an identical one instead. He said he didn't care about the costs because he intended to smash it on the courthouse steps in front of her if we won. We won and he followed through with the smashing. He laughed and said the look on her face was worth much more than $2,500. People get crazy in divorce proceedings. I wouldn't recommend it, but one of the best ways to stick it to your ex and to skip most of fallout is to die during the legal battle. //mednews.com/SOS/0214/B250349 PDF. In this case the couple orally was declared divorced, but before the official paperwork is finalized the husband dies. So what does the court do? Well, it takes the courts 2 years to sort out how this should be handled, and then the court says that the divorce proceedings must continue with somebody to represent the husband's interests. So now the wife has to divide everything 50/50 with a dead man. If he had died 2 weeks sooner she would have avoided years of court hearings, thousands in legal fees, and kept everything for herself. Worked for a family law lawyer in Santa Cruz. One of her frequent opponents, a decent, if aggressive, lawyer, just down the street, got a package bomb wrapped like a Christmas present. He picked it up, and it blew up in his face. Blew off most of his fingers, and left shrapnel in his face and chest. Last I heard, he dropped out of the legal profession. Happened on Christmas Eve in 1996. I worked for a law firm while in college, and we had a client who had just come home from a 2-week vacation with his wife, only to be served with divorce papers and a temporary restraining order as soon as they pulled in the driveway. Wife didn't say a word and just went into their house. Poor guy came straight to our office and was massively confused, to say the least. Husband and wife, still living together at the time, had a small confrontation. The husband pulls a sphincter, says what on her, and she takes the bait and says what. He giggled like a little kid. She then told her lawyer, who had to talk to his lawyer. His lawyer asked him if he called his wife a sphincter and told him he's not allowed to call her that anymore. My brother is a divorce attorney. His most memorable case, he was representing a guy in a divorce custody battle who was accused of horrific child abuse. Very graphic, very detailed depositions from the young kids against daddy. Things look grim. Then my brother, a failed actor, notices the deposition transcript done by social workers under oath contains a question at the end from one of the kids: did I hit my marks? He wonders how little kids know about acting jargon. Subpoenas wife's personal checking acts during discovery. Sure enough, acting lessons. Deposes an extremely sketchy acting coach, and panicked coach produces DVDs of practice interrogations with the kids. Hours of coaching the kids on exactly what imaginary things to say about daddy. He says it was his one and only Perry Mason moment in 20+ years of practice, and dad got sole custody of the kids. What a terrible, terrible human being. The husband's statement of property listed all the food in the kitchen as of the date of separation, complete with estimated values for each item. Campbell's vegetable soup, $0. 79 feet. Yeah, but that's just OCD firing up. That kind of shit happens with some friends of mine, and not just because of divorces. An old roommate of mine would get the phone bill in the mail, immediately open it, divide up all costs, even separate out all long distance charges. Yeah, it was a while ago. Divide the cost of the stamp to mail the check, write the check, mail the check, and leave post-it notes and voices for everyone else involved, all within 5 minutes of opening the bill. It wasn't really a bad thing actually. 20+ year divorce lawyer here. I've seen it all. I once represented a husband divorcing his wife of 35+ years. They were in their late 60s. At mediation they divided up about $500,000 in assets within 30 minutes. Then they spent 5 hours fighting over 2 hurricane glasses from Pat O'Brien's and a pitchfork. Mediator: she really wants that pitchfork. It was a gift from her daddy. Husband: that bitch. We bought it at Home Depot 2 years ago. And etc. They settled at mediation, after spending over $1,000 in attorney fees combined for the glasses and pitchfork. They remarried 3 months later. And a lesson learned over time: the most difficult clients other than crazy people are engineers and CPAs. They want their case to be black and white and neatly follow a predictable path. Family law is very gray and doesn't follow a flowchart. My first client was in an abusive relationship. Her soon-to-be ex told her she wasn't going to get a dime in support, would text her terrible things about how he would never pay, ended up getting her a sizable support order for her and her children. I remember the last thing I talked to her about was that she was so happy she finally took control of her life. A few days later I got a call from opposing counsel asking if I would consent to terminate the support order. I asked, why would I do that? Turns out she passed away in her sleep the day prior. Heart issues that she suffered from 4 years. Postscript: opposing counsel, a relatively young guy, also passed away soon after. I think I might be the only survivor from that case. Also had a client who fought tooth and nail over cookie sheets. Perspective, I suppose. Edit: some corrections. My aunt has been divorced for quite some time. She drives her attorney crazy with her requests/demands. Most recently she took her husband to court over one he switched the beneficiary of his life insurance policy from her, the ex-wife, to their children. She wants court-ordered drug tests weekly. She found out from her friend, who works at a pharmacy, that he has had quite a few narcotic prescriptions, but obviously can't enter that into evidence or friend will be fired. 3 wants to know the days he's working and locations, so she can have her private investigator keep an eye out and make sure the new girlfriend isn't joining him at hotels he's charging on his work card. At some point, she just needs to let it go and move on. She got the house and the house payments, the kids, the boat, and the Marriott points. He doesn't pay alimony or child support, so it seems like it worked out well. Not a lawyer, but as a courthouse clerk, I had a court order come across my desk that explicitly banned a father from playing Minecraft with his son over the internet because the ex-wife alleged that the in-game chat was a form of improper contact that wasn't outlined in their custody/visitation plan. Former court clerk here. The shit you see as a clerk is often like the real-life version of WTF. For 5+ years I spent my days in awe And for the majority of them, not in a good way, though I think it helped develop my sense of humor. My mom works in divorce court. She comes home with stories that are interesting, sad, funny, and sometimes just weird. It's what you would expect for the most part. Then there are the drug addicts that don't want to give up custody. The day of the drug test comes, and the person miraculously decided to shave their entire body. Tests are now given right after the judge asks for one. And some are hilarious when you are not the one involved. My favorite is, a voicemail is played in court as evidence. The wife is cheating on the guy. This voicemail is from the husband to the wife. Hey, I know you are there. The only reason you can't answer is because I know you can't speak with that guy's dick in your mouth. Sometimes my mom has those stories which are funny if you are not involved. This is why I could never be in a courtroom. I'd laugh myself into a stroke. My client's husband cheated on her with another woman and he took some photographs of the penetration. She found the pictures on the husband's computer, but his face was not in any of them. So during a deposition I had to ask him if the penis in the photographs belonged to him, and he said he wasn't sure. When I pressed him on why he could not identify his own penis, he claimed that exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam caused him to have memory problems.